Hello, I'm Lawrence Sprong, screenwriter and director of the film Lotus-Born Master, The Algorithm of Karma. And this is our latest film, and we're presenting it in 8 separate parts so people can feel the film, receive the content without the sort of time pressures of having to watch a 90-minute production. Now, the film talks about the future by beginning with the past. Remember, in Tibetan Buddhism, we often talk about tu sam tu me, which means past, present, future, and no time. Because actually, there is no past, present, and future. So we're looking at, throughout the film, the concept of parallel universes occurring simultaneously in different spatial fields, but everything's occurring at once. The film begins in a cave somewhere outside the Kathmandu Valley, and I act myself, an explorer who's kind of had it with everything and just decides that he's going to become a yogi and go up in the cave and meditate. And then the year is 1975, and 2 hippie girls come to see me in the cave. And they want to tell me the really good news that the Vietnam War has ended, the protests have worked, and they're talking about something that was happening in the 1970s in the Kathmandu Valley, in the tea houses. Lamas were talking about Shambhala. Well, this is a direct reference to Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, who was at that time talking about Shambhala warriors and how we could transform our world. This was a very important vision of the 1970s, where people felt we could end war and begin anew. Well, that isn't quite what happened. So if we look into the mirror, because the hippie girls in the movie are asking me, tell a prediction, you're the yogi in the mountains, can you give us a prediction? The prediction comes in a mirror, and mirrors are used in tantric practice often to divine the future by looking into the future or the past. And so everything appears in the mirror. And in the story, it opens with a very shocking theme. We're going to be in 42nd Street, New York City, in an abandoned subway, as a tour group goes to find out why ancient civilization suddenly disappeared.
brought you some food. Granola, yogurt, and some herbs.
And we have a whole wheat spread sandwich. We hope you like it.
We also bring you some newspaper. We think maybe you want to know what is happening in the world these days.
Or maybe you don't?
The war has ended. The protest worked. The people united and stopped the war.
There is talk in the valley.
It all began when the Lamas started teaching students from Berkeley. They talk about something called Shambhala. Is it something like the age of Aquarius? Yeah?
Will the age of Shambhala be upon us?
Back in the valley, in all the tea houses and coffee shops, folks have begun talking about Shambhala. It's a time of peace and goodwill.
Now that the war has ended, will it begin now? Is this the time? This is the time, yeah? Tell us.
Or is it just another war in a line of wars that will follow one after another in the age of Kali?
What does the future hold? Give us a prophecy. Please, give us a prophecy.
Look at all this. Why does all this happen? Please tell us why. We need to understand the past to navigate the future, right? Please offer us a divination into the future.
There will be an epic war. This was prophesied in the ancient Hindu scriptures, the Vedas and Puranas. It is all there in the Akashic records. Again, the prophecies were repeated in the Shambhala Sutra and in the Lotus-Born Master's own prophecies. The prophecies clearly describe how the Lotus-Born Master and his Dakini consorts and disciples will gather a great field of compassion as a positive energy force, manifesting as the army of Shambhala under the lineage of the Kalki kings. The armies of Shambhala will gather in great numbers, riding upon iron and steel flying elephants in an epic battle, challenging the imperial forces of greed, anger, and ignorance.
Is this the battle of Shambhala?
Heard the lamas talking about this in the tea houses of the valley.
But you must remember, these forces of greed, anger, and ignorance are not defeated by a fight, but rather through the reprogramming of minds to work with new algorithms of community, collaboration, and the joint solving of problems for our planet and humanity. It is not about a battle, but about an end to conflict and duality of thought. Actually, the battle is within each of our own minds. The Shambhala force is not an army of soldiers or warriors. It is the actual freeing of our own mind, and with it, everybody's mind.
Please tell us more of this prophecy. We want to hear more.
What will happen? Or rather, what happened?
There is no prophecy, because events have already happened. Remember, past, present, and future are one entanglement. The future has already happened, and the past is about to unfold before us. Remember, the epic battle of Shambhala repeats across time and space because neither exist. It repeats in the great literature of civilizations as they rise and fall over time, returning to the earth as shards and stories to be excavated, mere footnotes in history books or online encyclopedias. These are humanity's epics that witness transformation of everything as an outcome of karmic interactions that set new directions for humanity. It is not about a war, but an algorithm.
What did you see in your prophecy? What will be the outcome of this epic battle?
With 1% of 1% of the world's population controlling 99% of the world's assets, humanity are disenfranchised. That tiny elite need the robots to maintain control. In the aura of compassion, to relieve the suffering of all, 5 Dakini, with compassionate wisdom, hacked the trading platforms using their minds when they achieved realization that mind power can overcome the AI security codes. Digital panic ripped through Wall Street. Dollar clearing systems shut down. Without quantitative easing debt buybacks, the Fed could no longer support market manipulators with cheap capital. As the dollar's true value, or lack of it, was revealed, shock devaluation occurred. Dollar dominance ended. Hedge fund traders scattered and ran to save their shirts. The great riot of Wall Street spread to major cities. People rebelled. As the army of Shambhala's legion of iron and steel flying elephants descends upon the imperial forces of greed, anger, and ignorance, the warmongers in a 5-sided building surrendered, simply because they ran out of money.
So you mean there is no more war?
Their military-industrial complex was shattered when their currency collapsed. They had no choice but to beg for peace, return to the land. With share price collapse after the great riot of Wall Street, there were no more GMOs. The military leaders learned to grow organic vegetables and flowers for offering to the shrines of peace. Civilization began again, this time a bit more civilized.
This is so exciting. How will we rebuild our planet as Shambhala?
With capital collapse, fighting becomes meaningless. They can no longer trade oil derivatives. So there is no need for conflict in the Middle East to manipulate commodity prices. Peace spreads across the planet. Copper purbas will conduct electricity from the sun, and solar panels will abound. The fossil fuel corporations will become fossils themselves. The politicians, lawyers, and investment bankers will be banished from the 3 realms. They will reincarnate as vermin and lowly forms of bacteria. Then they too will vanish and be reborn as angel investors in the new emerging world of green finance. Greed will be put into a museum of greed. Admission will be free. There will be Disney rides that allow tourists to see why the ancient imperial way collapsed due to excessive greed. ignorance and anger. The tour begins in an abandoned subway in New York City.
My generation is the last generation to read a book.
My generation is the last generation to play outside. My mom gave me a pet puppy dog and a pet pussy cat, and I love them so much, but they are